Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to the Raildrick Geo channel. Today, we're going to be taking a look at a Serpentza video. Serpentza is famous for talking typically about China. He did live in China for like nearly a decade, and now he runs a few different channels where he actually talks about the bad aspects of the Chinese government. So I figured, hey, why not? Let's look and see if there's anything in here in his channel that I can kind of correlate to my current channel where I talk a lot about India and a lot of the good things about India. And he actually has why India is better than China. This video is 2 years old at this point. Maybe it's a little bit older. Let's see. May 7th, 2022. Okay, so yeah, just a little bit over 2 years old, where he talks about, yeah, why India is better than China. Now, I've not seen this video, although I do watch a lot of Serpentza videos and his podcast called The China Show. I watch Laoway 86, ADV China. You know, he has a ton of channels. I highly recommend them. But the video that I'm currently watching will be linked in the description. So make sure to go check that out. And yeah, I figured let's go ahead and get this started then, yeah?
Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
If I say the word India, what pops into your mind?
India, spices, food. Pop or the first things that pop into my mind, and then then just a bombardment of a bunch of different languages, because like I visibly see like a wall of alphabets when I think of India, right? Yeah, okay. Like I'm imagining just an entire wall of alphabets for like GeoGuessr stuff. Anyways,
And if I say the word China, what
Winnie the Pooh, communism.
pops into your mind? I can almost guarantee you that whatever popped into your mind for both countries is complete bullshit.
Maybe he's talking to people that maybe he's talking that's directed at people that don't know about India or China. We'll see. Stay awesome.
Now, I'm not here to show you beautiful countrysides and flashy cities of India and China and try and compare them and tell you which country is better and more advanced or which country you should choose as your next tourist destination. No, nothing like that. You see, I'm a realist. I grew up in Africa, and so I know what it's like to grow up and live in the developing third world, which China and India are. No matter what flashy buildings and skyscrapers and soft power and nonsense you get from both countries, at the end of the day, this footage that I took myself that you can see side by side of both India when I visited and China, you can tell it's still developing. And there's no shame in being a developing country. I come from one myself. The thing is, in our lifetimes, we've seen both countries experience massive change, massive growth, but in different directions. And this is something I wanted to talk about in this video. You see, if we go back to my original question, what do you think of India? If you hear the word India, and what do you think of when you hear the word China? The image that you have in your mind about India is probably far closer to the truth than the one you would have about China. And I'll explain why. India does.
I have no idea what they were playing there. What was going on there? Hold on.
Than the one you would have about China. And
what is going on here? This is some like old gambling game, and then what is this? I thought this was a cell phone at first, but I think it's like a timer maybe?
I'll explain why. India doesn't hide. India is honest, and by honest I mean the problems that India has are first of all reported on, put into the international news. They're putting...
you know what? I would agree with that, even from... like Indian content creators here on YouTube. I have noticed that they're very honest, they're very straightforward, they're very open about you know, the going-ons of India. So that's true. And then of course, yeah, China's all about propaganda. They have the Great Firewall of China. Everything's hidden behind China.
To movies.
Chinese
I mean, you've got
firewall.
movies like Slumdog Millionaire and who knows how many Bollywood movies about the poverty.
Slumdog Millionaire is like the only Indian movie that people outside of India know. Just saying.
In the slums and the challenges that India faces when it comes to its massive population and the poverty. In China, we see no such thing. Bad news is suppressed, is not allowed to go into the outside world, and if it does, excuses are made for it. We don't see the problems that China faces in their own movies and media. And of course, India is a big participant in the global community, especially on the internet. Remember, the internet isn't censored or blocked in India. So, when's the last time you looked up a tech tutorial and there was an Indian guy telling you exactly how to format your hard drive or something like that?
Hello guys, in this video I'm going to show you how you can create a partition on your Windows 10 operating system on your hard drives.
I mean, he's not lying.
There's participation there on all Western platforms. There's dialogue there, and there's nothing to hide. And as such, we get a very clear picture of what's happening inside of India. And that's why, I don't know about you guys, but my idea of what India was like was almost exactly how it was when I went to visit. I always pictured India as being a very vibrant and colorful place, but also a very dirty place with a lot of poverty and a lot of problems that need to be addressed. Like this family living on the street where this young girl would look after her two brothers while her parents worked at a nearby construction site. I saw all of that. I also saw...
Yeah, going through geoguessing, going through India. Yeah, of course, I've seen a lot of those problems as well. But like you said at the beginning, I mean, it's a developing nation, and that's something that pretty much every country has worked through. I mean, there's even issues like that here in the U.S. as well. It's just a lot more hidden.
The religion and the history and the culture, which I expected to see, it was there. The temples were there. The colorful religious clothing and the traditions were all present exactly as I expected.
love the trucks.
Whereas the opposite was true when I went to China. I was expecting kung fu, temples, monks, dragons, that kind of thing, but found nothing of the sort. Because unfortunately, China's deep cultural history had been erased by Mao.
He's going to say by Mao Zedong. Yeah, there was the edict of get rid of all the the old culture, the old religion, everything. Anyways, that's what he's going to say here. And I interrupted him because that's my problem, is I like to talk over the videos.
Fortunately, China's deep cultural history had been erased by Mao Zedong and his great leap backwards and the cultural devolution. I also was not expecting to see as much poverty, homelessness, and issues that I saw with my own eyes when I went to China, simply because that kind of news never left the borders of China and it's not talked about. So what I'm trying to say here is that India is more honest about itself as a country. Yes, it faces a lot of issues. So does China, so does America, so does everywhere else. The difference being that China actively hides and suppresses its problems, and it wants the international community to think that it's the big kid on the block who has no problems, is all-powerful, it can do whatever it wants. And its image in the international community is
This whole line of people were panhandling. That's crazy.
very curated and very specific. India, on the other hand, is what it is, completely unashamedly and out there for the world to see. So why has China been so much more successful in growing its economy than India? Given that both countries have similar demographics and have had a similar opportunity when it comes to engaging with the rest of the world, well, it's quite simple. India is a democracy. China is not. What the Chinese government says, it does. And there's nobody to stop them. If they decide they're going to steamroll your village and put up a new factory, there's nothing you can do about it. If they decide they're not going to follow environmental laws and take shortcuts, there's nothing anyone can do about it. If they decide that they're going to make up fake GDP numbers, there's no checks and balances and no one to stop them from doing so. If a nearby village is poisoned by a chemical factory, the local government can cover it up. They have complete control over the press. They have complete control over the people. The average person in China has no say over what their government does. So when they come in to do something, or they tell you they're going to do something, like for instance, lock up an entire city and turn it into a prison, you have no say. The difference with India being a democracy is that the people do have a say. When the government says that it's going to do something, the people can veto what the government says. The people can rise up and stop the government from doing something that negatively affects them en masse. The housing bubble in China is another example of this. It's a house of cards. A third of the economy is built upon this complete clown show where people are buying a concrete box in the sky for an exorbitant amount of money and relying on the next fool that comes along to buy that worthless apartment from them, which nobody's living in, by the way. It really does have no value. They're expecting the next person to buy it for more. And then the next fool that comes along, he buys it for a lot of money, expecting that the next fool will buy it for more. It's an outlandish bubble that should have burst ages ago, but the government has complete control over the news, so negative news doesn't come out about the housing prices or the housing crisis. The government can also just print out any numbers at once when it comes to reports on how the housing market's doing, how the GDP is going. And with no checks and balances, they get away with it and have been getting away with it for a very long time. So again, the image of China's economy being so powerful and so great is also not correct. The numbers aren't true. Yeah. And even the Communist Party itself.
That's one thing I've learned going through many years of learning about China. And this is before I even did anything, via YouTube about like geopolitical stuff and history stuff and geography things. China, the current government is so bad. And when people are thinking that China is this grandiose country, they're really just seeing all the political propaganda that the Communist Party is throwing out into our internet, because the Chinese people can't get into our internet. They're segregated into their own separate internet behind China's Great Firewall, right? So when you see a lot of things coming out of China, 99% of it is straight up propaganda, fake news. Fake news, all the news is fake, is literally fake news coming out of China. So not that. Now again, I say this. I don't hate Chinese people. I hate the Chinese government, okay? I say that whenever I have any issues with any government. Just because you hate the government does not mean you hate the people, right? People have to learn to separate that. And I don't think a lot of people do, unfortunately.
Admits that the GDP numbers are falsified. I used to film a lot in China. I'm sure you know from my videos. And I was often met with suspicion. I was often met with scowls. I was met with, people calling the cops on me or the security on me. Whereas I found when I was filming in India, people would wave at me, would smile, and would invite me to take pictures and videos of them. I got to see the first-tier cities of India. Yes, they're impressive and they're wonderful, just like the first-tier cities in China are impressive and wonderful. But I also got to see the rural side of India, just as I've seen the rural side of China. And while I found hospitality and friendship in both areas, I found in China that there was a lot more initial suspicion and worry that I was some kind of a spy or an agent or something like that, or I was there to somehow catch them out doing something bad. Whereas in India, I didn't get that at all. Another thing that I noticed, which is very obvious, is the lack of religion in China really does seem to impact people's lives. The freedom of religion in India seems to give people more purpose and substance to their lives. And I'm being completely honest when I say that, just from my own personal observations. When religion and tradition have been beaten out of you like it has in China, life tends to be fairly hollow. There are very few things for you to focus on. Obviously, you focus on surviving, you focus on making money, you can focus on hobbies and so on and so forth. But in India, I could see how fulfilling all the different religions were to people. Just how much faith there is in all the different deities and the way things operate there is very different. And that's something that makes India very interesting.
You know what he said there actually strikes a chord to like my own life currently. It's like, I spent most of my life being agnostic, not really following any particular religion. And you know what? I will be honest, it does feel hollow. Right? It does feel like something's missing, something's not there. And that could also just be, my current living situation as well. But, I do think that religion can give purpose to people. Gives me something to think about, huh?
Is the culture, the tangible culture that's there, which is completely missing from China. I hope you noticed that I didn't focus on the bad parts of India or the bad parts of China when it comes to society. There are some pretty terrible things that happen in both countries. No, no, no. The purpose of this video is I would like China to take a page out of India's book. If China decided to open up, first of all, allow internet freedom, allow its own citizens to have a proper discussion on the international stage, to actually participate in the world rather than be cut off and censored, it would vastly help improve the image people have of China. It would make China more relatable. It would open it up. If China was more honest about the problems that it faces, there would be more sympathy, and there would be more help from the rest of the world. Because if you pretend that you're number one, and you pretend that you have everything, and you pretend you're the strongest and the biggest bully on the block, people will not have any sympathy for you and are far less likely to take you seriously or want to help you when you desperately need it. Now, I'd like to just say a couple of things off the cuff here. India is a wonderful place. The people there were incredibly friendly to me. I've never experienced that level of open friendliness in society anywhere else in the world that I've been. And I just remember standing with my camera, taking some photos or some B-roll of the streets around me or what was going on, and the people running up to me, smiling and asking me to take a photo, and were curious as to who I was and what I was doing there. I experienced a lot of positivity and hospitality in China too. And I absolutely love traveling around China, and I had some incredible experiences and some very friendly and lovely experiences. But the level of suspicion I would get as a foreigner with a camera in China, which is understandable given what the Chinese Communist Party, the rhetoric they have about, you know, foreign spies coming in and foreign forces coming in to meddle with China's internal affairs. I mean, you understand why people are that way. But it's very off-putting, and it's tragic, really, because I do feel that as human beings around the world, we all share very similar experiences, and we all can relate to one another, and we should all try to get along rather than constantly trying to blame the neighbor over there for the problems that we face in our own backyard. But at the end of the day, remember, the people of China are forced to serve the government, and the government, they don't really care as long as the people fall in line and are useful to them. Whereas in India, the government has to serve the people because they're elected by the people. And the people do have a say. As it should be. And this makes a world of difference. Anyway, until next time, you know the drill. As always, stay awesome.
All right. Yeah, one thing I will say for sure, what he said here about Indian people being very friendly. The comment section for my channel has just been an overwhelming amount of friendliness, and it's actually surreal. It's pretty awesome. All right. Well, as with always, a great video. I really liked the video. Go check it out. The link to this video and the channel will be in the description below, so make sure to check out Serpentza. And yeah, I think it's time to go ahead and dive into the comments and see what some other people are saying about this video in particular. This is why Australia is forming alliance with India, Japan, and South Korea. How your trading partners treat you is more important than how much money you make. Oh, one thing that I got to do before I read comments. Apparently last time I was misreading words because I don't have my glasses on. Don't grow old, guys. Don't grow old. This is funny because Australia is like definitely in the hands of China currently. Even just, 2 years after this comment, it does feel like a lot of the things I see coming out of Australia in regards to China is they're very, very lax and very, very, I don't know, the government bends over backwards for them, which is just weird. It's true, my entire university and work life is being supported by the community of Indian guys who somehow have the answer to every tech problem. It's true. That's the thing. Sure, people say it's like a it's profiling, and that's not the word. It's What's the word where, God, I wish I was thinking about it earlier. I'll think about it eventually. Like an hour or two later, I'll remember it. Anyways, it's very common. You see this all the time. When I was in middle school, I had a teacher that spoke of India in such a demeaning way. I took it to heart for so many years until I started to learn about how spiritual, outspoken, and truthful Indian people are. I learned about the many gods that they worship, the resilience of Indian culture throughout the ages, and how adaptive they are in every age of the world. Needless to say, I fell in love with India after learning about it on my own. I have never been to India myself, but I truly want to go and travel all of India someday. This is how I feel. Not I was never taught India was demeaning in any way, but this is how I feel. I want to go to India. I want to go. I want to see you guys. I want to go to all the different parts of India, check it out. You know, eat lots of food, meet lots of really awesome people. That's what I want to do. Maybe someday we'll see. I'm Indian, Christian, diversity and the warmth in my country as well as explained. Thank you. Sad to see humanity level going down in other parts of the world. Praying for more peace on earth, like my prime minister says, one earth, one family. Really? Did Modi say that? One earth, one family? I'm a tribal Buddhist minority from Northeast India, and my motherland is full of love and compassion for everyone on this planet. As an Indian living in the US, thank you for seeing us. Indians believe in the world being a single family, perhaps naive, but there we are. Is that true? Do you guys see the world as a single family? I'm an African. I have been watching how India behaves towards other smaller nations. India has been rendering CPR, cardiopulmonary resuscitation to Sri Lanka during its economic crisis. They have extended a line of credit that has lower rates of interest when compared to Chinese loans. India donated a large amount of grains to Afghanistan. India will help if it can, even if there's no immediate payback from the recipient. China, from what I can see, is more businesslike, i.e., less compassionate. China did great things in Africa in past, like the Tanzam Railway, but this feeling of brotherhood seems to have faded from the Chinese governments. Very true. I've also seen that. Uh, as someone that lived 6 years in China and now regularly working in India for over a decade, wow, 6 years in China, now a decade in India, I can support what is said in this video. Very good summary. I want to read the reply. Where you live in India? Bangalore? Okay. And he didn't reply back. I mean, it was a month later, but still. India also is underappreciated, underreported on its infrastructure development. How many people here know that India has the highest number of skyscrapers and mega projects under construction in the world, highest number of metro lines under construction, fastest road expressway construction, tallest railway bridge under construction, bullet train lines here construction, and none of these are made up by me. You can check by yourselves. Check up yourselves. India does not boast about these in propaganda films. It's just silent hard work. Yeah, I have seen this. A few live streams ago, we went through um, a lot of the mega infrastructure projects that were happening in India. It is a lot of work. Land of religions and land of cultures, our incredible India. I visited India once during 2017 from Canada. A really nice experience. I absolutely love the hospitality of the people. They would often go out of their way to help with us with directions and local cuisine, etc. I've never seen anything close to this kind of friendliness during my visits to any other nations. After I returned, I read about how India was oppressed by the British for a long time. Absolutely outrageous. How greedy were the British that they exploited and oppressed a country of such nice and kind people. Yeah. As an Indian, my mom says, whatever the situation life throws at you, just be nice. And I live by this rule. That's cool. Indian helped us with the war against Pakistan. We will never forget love from your neighbor, Bangladesh. Very cool. I'm Indian and I'm proud of what my country has grown into. We call our country Bharat Mata, Mother India. Proud of being a democracy. Okay. You get the idea. A lot of people really like the video. A lot of people praising India. Let's see what some of the newer comments are. Now, when we go to new comments on older videos in particular, you tend to get a lot of more spicy things. So I do preface that we might see some spice, not in a good way. Shit opinion about China. All right. Ignorance. Not everybody believes in a so-called God. It's a story, big, big. Well explained, but I would not go so far as calling India a democracy, but probably as much as the other fake democracies like Germany, Austria, and the US. What? You are a liar. Don't talk about China. You lied. Indian Prime Minister killed and bullied Muslims, though. This guy is full of BS, lol. There's a freedom of religion in Hindustan to practice Hinduism. Muslims and Christians are openly persecuted, churches burned down, and members assaulted and murdered while Modi looks the other way. Every year, the U.S. Commission on Religious Freedom condemns India as one of the worst places for religious freedoms. How? You. How? No. What? From what everything I've seen, India has been incredibly open to basically every religion. You try to go to like Pakistan or a Muslim centric country and try to you know practice another religion there. That's when you start seeing a lot of pushback from everything that I've seen, historical and modern day. China better, haha, funny jokes. If you're really asking, say India, I think of stinky. Say China, I think of cheap shit. Okay. That's why you kicked out from China. He didn't get kicked out from China, he left China. Please move your family to India. Hope your children live there forever. I mean, he probably would. He lives in the US right now. Let India continue to be immersed in sweet dreams. Hmm. The man say fact about establishing factory in India and China is true. India have our biggest and fair democracy. Your democracy is let people pull shit on streets. Pull shit on streets. I have no idea what he means. Oh, I think he's okay. I think he's just saying okay. Yeah. Why don't you bring your family and live in India? Haha, making video like this isn't making you increase in YouTube followers, and even if it happened, then because of Indian blind followers who follow after hearing India is better than China content? What is this guy talking about? He doesn't make videos about India. If you go to his channel, you can very clearly see it's everything about China. I think he has like maybe one or two videos on India. Why India is better, China versus India. He's got two videos on India. And one is from 8 years ago. Wow. Okay. Some people lack like critical thinking, I swear. But you know,
Let me
it is what it is, right? It is what it is. We're gonna keep reading some newer comments. Let's scroll down and see if we get a couple that are just like a month or two old, yeah? This person's calling him a clown. India is definitely better. It has soul. What's this Chinese person saying? In your eyes, China is full of shortcomings, all kinds of poverty, all kinds of inauthenticity, all kinds of hypocrisy. I thank you. Oh, okay. This person is an anti China vanguard who has remained calm for 10 years. The pussy was quite close to me at first, but then I found out that He Zong was the traffic password and I couldn't control it. What does that mean? Okay. Let's see what this person. What is the difference between anti-intellectual conclusion and little pink? Is this just bot comments? Is little pink anti-intellectual? The word pink itself is a stigma against patriotism. You should go to both countries and experience it. I want to go. I don't think I'd ever want to go to China personally. Not when the Communist Party rules it. But I do want to go to India. As an Indian, I can say that China is more developed than India, but won't give one. I'll want to give one advice. Them don't like to attack you. We will lose many things. Okay. Go to the hospital for checking your brain. Such a retard. He couldn't even write out. He's insulting the guy. He's literally calling the guy a retard, and he couldn't even write out retard. He had to put an X in it. At least stand up if you're going to insult somebody. Jeez. Have you been to China, by the way? This guy lived in China for 10 years. Keep doing videos like this. China really needs you. He needs to go and look. Maybe he can't look. Maybe his videos are blocked. Chinese, Indians, Asians are 100 times better than Westerns. No, no one's better than anybody just because based on their race. I say less worse. I saw somebody over here. Where was it? So fucking biased. I couldn't stop laughing when you talk about China. You don't know China at all. Stop playing know it all. You can even write out fucking. Come on, guys. If you're going to insult somebody, you just gotta commit to it. He lived in China for many years, you doofus. India is becoming the next China. Will be our own thing. Becoming like modern China is a doomsday wish. Jerk off harder. He is correct. We are socialists. India is becoming the next China. Will be our own thing. Becoming like modern China is a doomsday wish. We will leave it off with that. You know what? I do think India is going to become the next powerhouse country in the world. I do think it's just inevitable, right? Like it has so much power right now, and it's just growing and growing and growing. Um, so yeah, we'll see what happens. With that being said, guys, thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, make sure to check out this original video. The description, the link is in the description. And if you liked my commentary, make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. And with that, I'm getting out of here. Take care, everyone. Goodbye.